Welcome back to the Saturday Sanctuary, everybody. This is your guy K Will. We got GP in the building. Got Loso here. How y'all boys feeling, man?
Uh,
Blessed.
I'm alive.
Blessed and highly
Blessed.
favored, brother.
There we
I'm
go.
blessed
I
by
love it.
God and unfavored by the football world. Good Lord.
By the football world, Los also over there getting cooked on 2K. It's just not his day, honestly. But we gonna get into what happened this past Saturday with the Saturday Sanctuary study. Of course, our big four games: Georgia, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and Notre Dame. A game I loved watching. Georgia Tech took Clemson down in the A, and Vanderbilt surprise blowout going on against South Carolina. Of course, we'll start it off with seemingly maybe we'll debate it. Maybe the number one team in the SEC right now. Georgia went on the road. Gunnar Stockton's first start on the road in the SEC game. 44-41. Georgia took that home. Whether you feel like Tennessee lost it or Georgia won it, we can talk about it. Los, how do you look at this game? Do you feel like Tennessee kind of let one slip or Georgia came in and made a statement win?
I think Tennessee lost that game. I think it was Tennessee's game to lose the way they came out playing. They had the fire. They had the energy. They came out giving everything you could expect a team to give that wanted to win at least. Um, and then unfortunately they had some slip ups at the end, like that last drive after the game was tied. Obviously, you messed up on a 4th and 2, and you gave up a touchdown. There was no reason for you to do that. But last drive, you get all the way down the field. You're in great position. Game's over. You won the game pretty much. Offensive holding call. Then you had that running play right after where you didn't gain anything. I think you might have lost a yard or two adding on to it, and then you put this baby face kicker in there to miss the field goal. He was literally 1 for 1. He has never been in a game winning situation to where he would have to, win the game with his foot, and he lost it. I think that was Tennessee's to lose, and they did it.
Well, yeah. I mean, shout out to Max Gilbert, man. He was put in a tough position. I kind
And
of
that's not to take anything away from Georgia because y'all also played a hell of a game. But
no,
I
yeah.
think at the position that they had put themselves in, that was their game to lose.
At the end of the day got in, and it ended with Max Gilbert missing that kick. And I see people a lot of times just talk about how they want like special team. I don't know what their idea is, but they just don't like how field goals can cost the game or extra points can cost the game. Look, dog, it's a part of the game. Like you can't take it out the game. Let it be what it's gonna be. And at the end of the day, they just got to make the kick. It is hard. I mean, I've been a kicker and a punter.
So you're the former
Anytime
kicker.
I messed up, it's like, bro, I get to go out here and do this one time. Y'all get to go out here 3 downs, sometimes 4 downs to try to get one first down, bro. I get out here if I have one try. That's it. I don't get a do over. It's a tough position, but at the end of the day, it is your job, so you got to make it happen. He missed it, made the field goal in overtime, which really didn't mean much. We all knew once we forced them, or Georgia forced them into that field goal in the first part of overtime, we knew it was cooked from there. We knew Georgia was going to take that home. And of course, we saw how that happened. GP, I know Los is saying, you can't take anything away from what UGA did. Do you feel better about UGA going forward after seeing how they took that win? Would you have rathered it happen any other way?
Uh, I would have rather we blown him out, but um,
That's the fan in you.
offensively, yeah, I mean that's just me being biased. Offensively, I don't want to say surprised necessarily, but I was like thankful that it finally happened, especially looking at Gunner pushing the ball down the field a lot more. Ran the ball pretty effectively. I think if I'm not mistaken, we ran for almost close to 200 yards total, threw for over 300 yards, which is solid. I think that's what I need. If I'm getting 500 yards of offense, it's a good day for me. Defensively, I was disgusted, but more so because I felt like we could not get home to Joey Aguilar. I'm not gonna really take credit away from him, but it did feel like when you go into the weeds of it, he probably should have thrown more than those 2 picks. He's
Yeah.
throwing the ball up, but it was like split second away from him being crunched and either getting a sack fumble or throwing it up for an interception more often than he did. But I got to give credit to Chris Brazzell. He had a hell of a game. I think he had like 3 touchdowns and like 160 170 some or 180 yards.
177 yards. I
Yeah,
mean,
he
at the end
cooked.
of the day, Joey had a great game, 24-36. I mean, if you tell me just the Tennessee stats and I don't know what Georgia did, I would think we just got our ass whooped. Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, 110%. But that's not what happened. At the end of the day, Georgia did what we did not expect them to do, which is end up in a shootout and be able to win that shootout. So, got to give big props there. We'll talk about the bigger picture behind this game as far as Georgia goes on the Red Clay report. Make sure y'all tap in with me and GP for that. All Georgia news, all SEC news. But we'll talk Tennessee. This nigga Los is stupid. But we'll talk Tennessee though, bigger picture. What do you feel like their odds are right now going into the season? If we're looking ahead, we take a peek ahead with the college football playoff right now. Do you feel like they can handle business down the road? And we can take a look at their schedule here. Of course, we know they got the big game with Alabama coming up later in the year. But before that, they don't really have much going on. I mean, they got UAB, they got Mississippi State, who is a good Mississippi State team. Arkansas, Talon Taylor's looking nice as well. But you know, we've seen that. We've seen him look nice and Arkansas look terrible. We've seen him look nice and they just not be enough. Same way they were yesterday against Ole Miss. Then they have Alabama. After that, it's really just off to the races. You got Kentucky. Oklahoma's looking like a good team, but if you take a loss to a good Oklahoma team, that's not really going to hurt you too much. They got another non-conference, whatever, a ball game. And then they got Florida and Vanderbilt to end the year off. Two games at the end of the year from two teams that oftentimes are used to being the spoiler. But how do you guys see them faring off if we peek ahead into the college football playoff? How do you see
Hey,
Tennessee?
that game against Florida, that's a loss.
I think
That's a
that
loss.
I think their games against Arkansas and Mississippi State and Vanderbilt will be very scrappy. But they
Mm-hmm.
can win those games, I think, especially with their explosive offense. I think the games that they really need to lock in on, or probably are going to really key in on, excuse me, are Alabama and Oklahoma. If they can win one or both of those games and pretty much take care of the other games, I think I foresee them in the college football playoff. I think they'll get in with two losses. I kind of think they'll lose to Alabama. Um, this year. I know they won. Last year was at Alabama, right? It's at home, right?
Well,
This year.
last year was at home, so this year is it's in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the way I've seen Alabama play the last couple of weeks, not the first week obviously, but the last 2 weeks, they've just been a lot better. So I can see that one getting into a shootout, going down to the wire. But overall, I think they need to be encouraged. You did lose a heartbreaker to Georgia, but you also, I would say, if I was a Tennessee fan, I'd be encouraged simply due to the fact that Josh Heupel put up the most amount of points that he's ever put up on a Kirby Smart defense since he's been in Tennessee. It was 38, but was it 38 or was it 41? I'm tripping.
It was 41. We got 44. So
Yeah,
41 to
okay.
44.
You put up 41 points, excuse me, 38 in regulation. Um, that I would personally be encouraged because you're right there. Like I said, that's the most amount of points he's ever put up on Kirby Smart. Typically, he crushes everybody else and puts up at least 35 plus.
No more than 17
Yeah,
on Kirby.
exactly. Exactly. I was gonna say that Georgia, he only usually puts up 17. That's been over the course of, I think it's been 5 or 6 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years at Tennessee. So that's a decent amount of time. That's half a decade at this point. Um, so it lets you know that you're going in the right direction. I think offensively, of course, moving forward. And Georgia's I would say is seen to be one of the better defenses in the SEC. So yeah, I'd be encouraged if I was them. But that's just
Yeah,
me.
that's real. But we'll see what happens at the end of the day with Tennessee. I mean, they might take an L to Florida. I do think if Florida's in the spoiler spot, that's going to be a tough game. Vanderbilt, spoiler spot or not, especially if Vanderbilt is in the race for the SEC championship or some type of playoff spot, that's going to be an ugly game. Luckily, that Vanderbilt game will be at home for Tennessee. Hard place to play, but I don't think Diego Pavia he don't give a damn. Like, just be honest. Um, but that game on the road at Florida, I mean, Florida will play spoiler. We kind of already see that that's not going to be a game that Florida will have any playoff implications for. But again, they're used to playing spoiler for the last couple of years, and I think they're ready for that one. But we can go ahead and move on here to our next game. We have Texas A&M, a good showdown in another game that at the end of the day, I understand y'all don't like special teams, you don't like the field goals. Another game that came down to a field goal, a botched field goal, and in this case, it wasn't the kicker's fault. It was the holder's fault. The person that you least expect to have the problems. And I believe he's one of the backup quarterbacks, if I'm not mistaken. Was he not on Alabama's roster last year?
What's his name?
I gotta find his name, but
It was the. Well, I don't want to be. Was it?
yeah. I get what you're saying. Yep.
Hold on, Notre Dame. If it's the backup quarterback that played in the USF game, then yes.
Yeah, that was him. So you can find his name, but
yeah,
that was definitely
it's him, buddy.
Yeah.
Stinks.
Tyler Buckner.
Yeah.
Buckner. Okay, yeah.
Tyler Buckner. So of course he was backup quarterback for God knows what reason with Alabama. Nick Saban was, whatever. I mean, he was trying to get some fight out of his team, and I mean, it seemed to work a little bit. But, anyways, moving on from that situation, essentially he couldn't do his job holding the field goal, and it was just bad from there. Didn't really have much of a chance. Texas A&M offense had been rolling. Both defenses couldn't stop each other. Stop the other team's offense the entire game. I mean, we kind of already knew once Texas A&M got the ball, they was going to go down and score, and they was going to hit the extra point, and that was going to be it. Granted, it did take 4 downs for them to get that touchdown. A great throw by Marcel Reed, and a great catch by their tight end, actually. I need to get his name, but great box out, bodied up the DB, went on an out and up. The DB actually played decent defense. He just let the tight end get in front of him. Can't let him do that, but he didn't really go for the out on the out and up. But regardless of all that, how are we feeling, Los? Essentially, I'll ask just straight up about Marcel Reed. How are you feeling about him?
I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, he looks decent, he looks good, but obviously we're in a game where it's 41-40. I can't really necessarily call it and be like, oh, this guy looks spectacular, because nobody's out there playing any defense. So it's kind of like, is he looking like, the future of somebody's team, or will he carry a completely sorry team by himself? No, but I think he's looking. I tell you, I'm a Gators fan. He's looking better than DJ Damn Lagway. I'll just say that. I'll say that.
I feel it.
That's all I got on it.
I feel it. He went 17-37, two touchdowns, 1 interception. I will say he can throw the deep ball. I think he was a lot more patient than we've seen him be in the past in the pocket. Something that a lot of people want to see from their quarterbacks in general, but definitely after 1 year of starting, we want to see that the next year you're just much more patient in the pocket. If you have an offensive line that is trustworthy, we want you to trust them. And I think they were blocking pretty well. I don't know if that says much about them or just says a lot about how weak Notre Dame's front is. We saw their front not get any push on Miami first week of the season. But moving on here, I mean, Le'Veon Moss had a great game himself. And then, of course, we're talking about the tight end, Nate. Number 87, I don't want to butcher your last name, so you're just going to be your first name today. But shout out to him. I mean, he got the game-winning touchdown. GP, where does Notre Dame go from here? I mean, again, we'll peak, bigger picture. We'll peak to the college football playoff. Do you feel like they even deserve an opportunity? And, of course, we'll take a look at their schedule here before I feel like you already made up your mind. We kind of just talked about it. But, I mean, they don't have too many good games left. I mean, you got Syracuse, the way that they're looking, not looking too hot. We'll see what they do against Clemson this weekend. And then you got USC. I mean, I'm not trying to hear that noise personally. But, I mean, how do we feel? I mean, they also have Arkansas, by the way, in a couple weeks. So do you feel like if they win out, they deserve a chance? And how far can they slip before they don't deserve a peak into the college football playoff? 1 loss, 2 losses, how many more?
I feel like I don't think a 3-loss team is getting into the college football playoff, especially with a schedule as weak as theirs. I will say that I think they would have rather split those 2 games between A&M and Miami that they played. Mm-hmm. Obviously want to win both of them, but if they were to, the 0-2 result is horrible at this point, especially being that you lost one of them at home as well, which sucks. where do they go from here? I mean, just looking at their schedule, the only team that I really think they would benefit from beating is USC because USC is currently ranked. They're getting, I'm gonna be honest with you, and I said this off screen, but they're getting the benefit of the doubt, in my opinion, of having been ranked a top 10 team, being that they're 0-2 and they're still ranked.
Hmm.
Most teams that would be 0-2 at this point would have been unranked. I think name recognition and the fact that they played two opponents who are now, I think A&M is now ranked 10th and Miami is ranked 4th, I believe. Yeah, 4th.
I'm looking now. I didn't even see the rankings drop.
Yeah, they came out today. I
Yeah,
believe A&M.
Miami's fourth.
Yeah,
Miami's fourth, and A&M is 10.
yeah. So it's like, I mean, if A&M and Miami continue to be as good as they are that year, then it's just like, all right, those are just good losses, I guess, because
Hmm.
you did play both of them close. So
Yeah.
that's a benefit. I will say, I do think on their schedule, they probably can beat every team on this thing, maybe with the exception of a USC. And I think Arkansas would give them like a scrappy game. And I say maybe with USC just because USC has looked pretty good so far this year. But you can't afford to lose any more games.
And you
And
can't. I mean, you definitely can't. I mean, like you said, 3-loss team. Well, you feel like a 3-loss team won't make it into the college football playoff. I feel like there's an opportunity for it, depending on how everything
it's
shakes out
not.
within the conference. But
It's just not.
they're not with their resume.
And it's crazy
How
because
far do we
there's
give USC a push in their they look good so
I
far.
mean, that's what I was. We'll touch on that. I mean, we can touch on it real quick. I mean,
the USC thing. They just are currently undefeated. That's
yeah, they just haven't lost. They're 3-0.
yeah,
It's
it's really
cute,
what it
but
is. They do still play Illinois. They play Michigan. They play Notre Dame, and they play Oregon at the end of the year.
yeah,
So,
they have
do I
one of
expect
them.
them to come? Do I expect them to come out of that unscathed? No, I don't. But I'm just saying, I can go off of is his first 3 weeks of what we've been given in college football. It's still very hard to judge. I think a lot of these teams, honestly, but that's the funniest and beautiful thing about college football. I think this is why I kind of, not to go into a tangent, but this is why I don't really like expanded playoff because it demanded perfection when it was like just two teams or it was just four teams. Like you really couldn't lose. You really could not afford to lose. So you had to be
Right.
perfect pretty much every week. And you would know if you lost two of your first three games, your season was screwed to make the playoffs essentially. Like unless you happen
I
to make the your conference championship and win it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing though. You got the conference championship to save you, and then I mean we've seen over the course of this expanded playoff just one year we've seen, but I mean you're talking about teams that really did feel like they still deserved an opportunity. You're talking about Alabama. I think they still played like they had something to fight for last year because they genuinely thought they should have been in the playoff. Whether however you feel about that, if you feel like they should have been in last year or not, I think these kids or the entire program, not just these kids, program, the AD, the head coach, the coordinators, and the players. I think they all believe, depending on what program you're at, if it's a top tier program that has consistently been in the playoffs or has been on the brink of the playoffs, when we're talking about just four teams, those teams do believe, hey, I've been in the top 12 the last whatever years that we've just been doing four teams. They feel like they're a good team. They're still going to have something to fight for. So
Yeah.
I think we do or have feared that the 12-team playoff would ruin or kind of water down the regular season. I think it matters just the same because I feel like we live in a different world than these kids and these coaches. They still believe they deserve to be in the playoff. 3 loss,
Oh
two
yeah,
loss.
getting
They
Yeah.
still feel that way. So
$4 million
it's
NIL checks.
yeah, like you said, what?
I said, yeah, they're getting them $4 million NIL checks.
Trying to
Yeah,
collect
so they're
bonuses.
they're all about it. I think they're all in regardless. But to close this part out, the only thing about USC is like, or I was about to say, if you're Notre Dame, now you put yourself in a position to bank on other teams being good, and I definitely don't want to be in a position to be banking on USC to be good, and then I got to beat them. Not that that would be easy or hard. It's just like I don't really foresee USC looking like that. I don't think USC is gonna make my strength of schedule and how I did with that schedule any better.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I was gonna say I think the messed up part for this is why Notre Dame needed to win those two games. Traditionally, Notre Dame has a really solid schedule. I know they've gotten this whole ACC pack thing where they got to play like five. I think it's like 5 games within the ACC or whatever, something like that. And then they traditionally will play they'll play USC, or they'll play a big out of conference game, whether it's like a Michigan or Ohio State or an SEC team. Like they do tend to do that. Like they're playing 2 SEC teams now, which I think is dope. And moving forward, now that the Greg
No,
Sankey has mandated we all teams play an out of conference team. Somebody's going to play Georgia. Somebody's going to play Notre Dame
every year.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody in the SEC is going to play Notre Dame moving forward.
They finna get whooped unless you draw. Unless you draw Arkansas or somebody like that, you finna get whooped every year. But
I mean, it's helpful for them.
No, it's helpful. It's cool to see the games. I honestly didn't care much about what Notre Dame did football wise ever in my life until Georgia went on the road to play Notre Dame. Like I really never was checking for Notre Dame. I didn't watch Rudy. Still have never watched it. Never really been interested. I don't want to see it. So whatever. The only thing I've ever cared about with Notre Dame was Timmy Te'o and Georgia beating them on the road with Jake Fromm as a freshman. Other than that, I don't care about Notre Dame football, and I think maybe it's a little hate in my heart, but I think these teams really should just boycott playing them and force them to get into a conference. I force your hand. I'm not playing you.
They should have been in either at this point the Big Ten or the ACC. But
Timmy Te'o, ain't that bro we went to school with?
Yeah, I thought
I'm weak. No, I knew what I was talking about. I was making fun of him, but I'm weak that's where I got that from. I forgot. But I was talking about
Timmy Te'o.
But yeah, I think they should have been forced their hand to get them into a conference. Like the only way y'all can get into these college football playoffs. I mean, how many times we're not going to get on a tangent, but rhetorical question. How many times have y'all been in the 14 playoff? And the only time y'all have been able to get in is because y'all played formidable opponents in the non-conference. Every game for them is a non-conference schedule, but it's because we're scheduling y'all. We have no rivalry with y'all. We're scheduling y'all. Y'all may beat us. Y'all may lose these games, but people give y'all credit. The committee gives y'all credit for trying. Y'all played somebody in the top 10, and y'all played a Georgia. We're going to give y'all credit. Stop playing them. They'll never get in the college football playoff if y'all don't play them. Force them into a conference. But
that's the thing too. Like, ironically, I think the only way that they'll get in, like an undefeated Notre Dame or one loss Notre Dame, is going to get in the playoff every year. I mentioned that last year, but I will say that I do think that you can't skate by with just a very easy schedule if you're on the name of being Notre Dame. You have to play people now at this point.
Nah, that's what I'm saying. Because who did they beat non-conference last year though?
They beat A&M.
But it's like it's kind of like weird though because it's like
no. You're trying to be funny, but A&M was one. If A&M had beat Texas, they would have played in the SEC championship last year. So they would have
lost, and they still wouldn't have been in the playoff.
I'm just letting you know who they beat.
I feel, but to that point, right? They play one opponent, one formidable opponent, and they get credit for it. And now you're in the playoff automatically, as long as y'all win all these other easy games.
Because the thing that's messed up is like no matter how much you say, oh, strength of schedule is a part of it, it's always going to be kind of slew because it's like Notre Dame's going to play one good opponent. Say they lose to that one good opponent, they have one loss, but they still won out every other game than that. You're not going to put a one-loss team out because you're looking at their schedule. Because then, like,
who y'all issue is with when it comes to Notre Dame, y'all issues with the ACC. Personally.
Nah, it ain't the ACC. It's Notre Dame. Make them get in the conference. My issue is with the power.
Even if they got into the conference, let's say they get into the ACC, they run through the ACC outside of maybe a Clemson.
Great, good job.
But it's the same thing. You're still playing. They still play 5.
Man, let me tell you what ACC teams they play this year, brother. They play Syracuse. They play. I know they play Syracuse. I know they play Stanford. They play Pitt, Boston College. I don't want to hear that.
As I said.
North Carolina State University? No. And again, that will put you in the position where you go to a weak conference like the ACC. You're fighting for a position in the playoff by only winning the conference. That is the only way you're getting into the playoff. So I'm cool with that. Win the conference and you in. Cool.
If you're gonna let them rock with a weak schedule like that, I know if Florida wins out and we lose like maybe one more game, I don't give a fuck. We better be in there. We
Oh
better
One
be
well,
more game.
three
well,
losses, bro. We better be in there. I don't care.
But that's to a good point though. Like Notre Dame lost two of their only ranked wins. I will kind of go on a limb to say USC may not be ranked when they play them. They easily could not be. So you lost the two games that were ranked. Florida, let's just say they lose to Georgia, right? But they beat everybody else. They deserve to be in over Notre Dame. They do.
I'm gonna be real. When they compare, if let's say Notre Dame runs the table, when they compare schedules at the end of the year, and they ask, I will say the only thing that'll help them is that they barely lost both of these games. But I don't necessarily think Texas A&M will be unscathed at the end of the year necessarily. And there's not a. I do think Miami is good. I do want to clarify this, but they also play Florida State, and Miami also does play Florida this year, even though Florida is 1-2. That's going to be a tough game. I don't care what anybody says. It'll still be a tough game.
No, facts.
So
But
there's no guarantee. There's just no guarantee Miami ends up unscathed either. So when they do compare resumes, and Notre Dame does have a weak schedule, but your two hardest opponents were two L's. I mean, I don't know if the name recognition will get them in this year, but it might. And
bro,
to
it's the fact that there's even a chance. You shouldn't have a chance. You
yeah.
shouldn't have a chance. And the only reason you have a chance is name recognition. You don't deserve a chance off name recognition. But we can go on all day about that because I just believe
You say Notre Dame. That's really
it ain't even that. It's just why do they get to sit over there? It's literally it's cool when they do it, but when I do it, like why do they get to sit over there and just do whatever they want to do? And now we actually have the power and the money to say, you know what? Bump them. We ain't playing them. Good luck. Do it. I encourage some of the things that they do and kind of are leading to the way of being a Big Two conference or basically just a league with the Big Ten and the SEC. I'm for them doing that. Force Notre Dame's hand. But anyways, we'll move on to Georgia Tech and Clemson. Georgia Tech took down Clemson. Again, another game that was decided by the kicker. And he came through. Bro hit a bomb, dog. As soon as that left his foot, I said, oh, that's it right there. And my girl, for those that, well, of course you guys know, you know what I'm saying? She's been injured for the last couple of weeks. She's been locked in on college football by no choice of her own to sit on the couch for the last 3 Saturdays. So she's been locked in. She was really locked into that game. She thought that was super entertaining. And as soon as Georgia Tech's kicker made that kick, she started singing the Jet 2 holiday song. So it was a great one. She knows I don't rock with Clemson. I love seeing Dabo and K. Klubnik look as sorry as they actually are. And at the end of the day, they got what they deserve. You messed around and you found out. You was on the road, no real rhythm the entire game, if I'm being honest. I think I will give them credit with the move that they made from wide receiver to running back. What's the kid's name? He balled out the entire day, actually. Dang, I lost his name. Oh, yeah. Adam Randall. Hey, he balled out. He's actually a receiver, moved him to running back. That was a great move. I don't know if that was Dabo's call. Whoever's call it was a great move. It was a great move. But outside of that, y'all look terrible. I mean, it really comes down to your starting quarterback. He's trash. But moving on here, how do you guys really just see the ACC shaking out now that Clemson is obviously out of this race? Is it Georgia Tech's to win? I mean, obviously you got Miami there. And they get to play Miami, so they're kind of in a position where even if they lose to Miami, Georgia Tech being, they might get to see them again in the ACC championship. Where do y'all see the ACC looking right now? I'll let you take that one, GP.
I think it's probably between Florida State and Miami. Personally, I think Florida State's schedule is mad easy for the rest of the year. They do play Miami coming up soon. I believe in October. I think it's like the first weekend of October, maybe, or second weekend. I think it's first weekend of October. I'm sure that'll be lit. That'll probably be I'm assuming let's say Miami gets through Florida this week. That'll probably be a top 10 matchup. Yeah, top 10 matchup. So that'll be fun. I guess that Florida State and Miami are a top 10 matchup again. Tech, I like Tech. I like what Tech's got going on. Honestly, though, I think right now the ACC is definitely a 3-team race until Clemson. The only thing though with Clemson is like you've had 2 bad L's, but their schedule is kind of pie outside of playing. I think they play Florida State later on this year, so they can beat Florida State if they come correct. That game is always usually very back and forth between both of them. I think recently Clemson has kind of dogged Florida State um, for the most part. And typically, the winner of Florida State Clemson ends up representing what is it? The what part of the ACC are they in? Is it
Coastal,
the
ain't it?
Atlantic? Yeah, whichever one of them wins usually ends up getting the ACC championship. Ends up winning the ACC usually.
Yeah.
So um, let's if Clemson is undefeated, well, doesn't lose until then, I would assume whoever wins that game gets into the ACC championship. Um, I think it's just right now. I think it's a 3-team race, really a 2-team race between Florida State and Miami. Georgia Tech probably with third, and I'd probably put Clemson fourth, especially because they just lost to them.
Absolutely. Clemson, they do have
Uh,
Syracuse coming up. UNC, I mean, Bill Belichick is still there. And of course, Florida State, they have them in November, and then they end the season off with South Carolina. That doesn't really impact the conference standings, but that's definitely a game that can impact their record heavily.
Yep.
Itself. Carlos, as far as Clemson goes and Dabo, should Dabo be on the hot seat? And if he should be, what does a hot seat look like for Dabo?
you know my take. I thoroughly believe Dabo needs to get out of there. It's been 6 years since you've been to anything significant. I mean, you went to the playoffs last year, but I mean, I guess.
It's only because it was expanded and you lost in the first
Yeah,
round.
I guess we're counting that. Also, I think y'all left out SMU when y'all were talking about teams to,
I did.
had
You
a
are
chance.
SMU guy, so I guess.
I'm not an SMU guy. I don't like that dual threat quarterback. I mean, not dual threat quarterback, but they had a 2 quarterback system last year. I wasn't a fan of that. But I mean, this year they've just gone with one guy, and they're
SMU's
still
also
real
lost
iffy.
already.
Have they?
They lost to Baylor by 3.
Oh, I didn't know
Baylor,
that.
a Baylor
Oh no,
team,
they did.
Baylor team
Yeah.
that Auburn beat the brakes off of. By the way,
Mm-hmm. I mean, but Baylor started getting rolling late on Auburn. I will give them that. Started, but we'll see what Auburn really look like this weekend.
I'm being a hater. I mean, an Auburn hater, I guess here, but
I mean, I got to give them credit until then. I mean, I like Auburn when they get boosted up, and then we come and crush their dreams. But back
But
to Los. What is the
to the
hot-
original. To the original, I think it's been too long. You last time you went to the big game, you went because you had the last 2 times I'll say because you had generational quarterbacks sitting back there. I mean they were generational for college football and the NFL, maybe not so much, but they were amazing in college. So that's why you had what you had going on. You have not recruited since. Like your recruiting has not been worth anything since then. So I seen 2 Clemson guys at the bar on Friday, and they were head over heels on Dabo. They're like, yeah, he's not going anywhere. It hasn't been that long. It's only been 6 years. Only. I guess, man. He needs to go. I don't like the culture that he has there anymore. To be honest, that's just me. I'm not a Clemson fan, so maybe they know something about the culture that I don't. But I think he has to go.
Right. I mean, like you said, it's been a while since he's been in any championship contention. I personally don't think last year counts. You got into the college football playoff by the skin of your teeth. And then you got the opportunity and lost in the first round. So,
it's the fact that they won it. Didn't they win the ACC?
yeah, that's the only reason they got in. I mean, it's not even that. It's the fact that Miami screwed around with Georgia Tech at the end of the year. Otherwise,
and SMU too in that game because the SMU probably could have won that game.
Right. Otherwise, they're not even in the position to save themselves by using the conference championship win. So y'all got blessed, and I know Dabo is a praying man, as am I. But he's got to go, and I don't actually because I dislike Clemson so much. Keep him, because he's in his own way. He's not gonna win until he takes full advantage of the transfer portal. K. Klubnik, I'm talking to every media pundit, everybody. This is y'all fault. Y'all have let this man skate by year after year and be so average. He's been nothing above average at any point at Clemson. against an above average opponent. Against above average opponents, he's never been above average himself. So you can't sit there and be. I mean, essentially, I think a lot of what Dabo does is woe is me. Like we were
Yeah.
almost there, and no, you weren't. You weren't almost there.
He does a lot of whining.
You weren't almost there. Y'all aren't almost there. That's all we heard all see. That's all we heard all last year. We're almost there. We heard all off season. We're almost there. We're gonna get there. We hear you after a win. We were almost there. No, you weren't. When are we gonna get there? When? So I mean, they're not gonna fire him at the end of the day. What he has done is phenomenal as a coach. Like we can't take that away from him. It was at the hand of generational talent at the quarterback position. But now, what are you doing, dog? And you've hitched your wagon to K Klubnik. I'll be interested to see who their quarterback is in the future after K leaves. Because we have this show and because I love college football, I'll continue to pay attention to Clemson. But there's nothing really to watch for unless Miami screws around like they did last year, or Georgia Tech just falls completely off, or Florida State screws around and gives Clemson a chance to get into the conference championship. There's nothing to look for from Clemson unless the rest of their conference just loses control and they have an option to be in the conference championship. That's the only way they can save themselves, which was the only way they saved themselves last year.
Also, I'm not gonna lie. I've seen a lot of the whole football team for Clemson was at Atlantic Station at the movie theater. So the two guys I seen in at the bar that I was talking to, they had one of them had on some throwback Clemson gear on. Shout out to him, white boy. Cool little throwback Clemson, snapback, cool little varsity. Well, it wasn't a varsity jacket. It was one of those satin team jackets that cool as hell. Anyway,
Yeah, I know.
The drip was severe, but they were talking about it, and they had some very in-depth knowledge. They were like, I'm like, oh yeah, I just seen y'all team at the movie theaters like 2 hours ago, and they're like, oh yeah, they do that every Friday, blah blah blah. And I'm like, they were like, who'd you see? I'm like, I don't know, some big guy. He had this crazy chain on. I'm talking about buzz down crazy. Like they start going into details like, oh, was it a big block, like a big diamond block, blah blah blah, or something like that. I'm like, nah, it was it was like a chain with like it looked like a planet with like a rocket or something like that. And they were like, he had like some twists. And I'm like, yeah. Apparently they're like, oh, that's our like star defensive lineman or something like that. Like they saying he's top 10 pick projected, blah blah blah. I'm like, why do y'all know that off the top of y'all head? Anywho, bro in there getting nachos and extra cheese all over that joint. I'm like, bruh, this what y'all do every Friday before y'all play? Like, what are apples and oranges? And I'm not saying folks ain't supposed to eat, but I ain't know, folks was getting down like that before the games. Like
most teams that when they travel for a game, they go to a movie Friday night. That is a tradition for teams.
Yeah,
I feel like that probably put them down before their game. Yeah, them nachos was probably crazy, bro. Movie theater food ain't that good on the stomach, bro. I ordered a pizza, a cheese pizza, came out way. I think they might have a brick oven in the back. Though it was a good pizza, but
yeah, the pizza is decent.
It ain't gonna sit right on the stomach when you finish, bro.
I ain't gonna go into that as far, but I will say to your point, like so far for Clemson, one thing I think I have been disappointed with. Peter Woods and TJ Parker, I feel like haven't really shown me what I expected coming out of them. What I've seen for their freshman and their sophomore years, and this is the money year. So, and you played big games. Like you've kind of, I don't want to say you necessarily have disappeared per se, but like I haven't seen.
Not what we thought it was going to be. We thought this was even
draft pick.
Yeah, even myself, I just thought this was going to be the year that their defense, at least the line. Like I'm not going to speak on. Avion Terrell's fire. I mean, I can't go against bro. I saw him. He also liked to tackle. So I'm with bro. I'm with bro. Maybe the Falcons should look at him instead. But regardless of all that, he looks nice. But I thought the defensive line was really going to be about that this year. I thought that was going to be one area that we wouldn't have to worry about when watching Clemson, or other teams will have to worry about. I thought this was really all going to come down on the shoulders of K. Klubnik, and you know how the wide receivers can't stay healthy. But it's been about the entire team in some fashion. But we'll move on there and we'll touch on them a little later in the week because obviously they go against Syracuse. We don't know what that win could really mean for them, but we do know how much that loss could completely shift that program, and we know that Fran Brown is not going to go down easy. So we'll talk about Clemson a little later in the week. But moving on here to our last game of this past Saturday, Vanderbilt. Some people have been saying it was not a surprise to them. It was a surprise blowout for me. I wouldn't say I didn't think Vanderbilt could win the game. I just honestly I thought that Shane Beamer and granted, Lenore Sellers went out. So I thought Shane Beamer and Lenore Sellers would win this game. I thought Shane would be the better coach. I thought Lenore's would be the better quarterback. Unfortunately, it did not go that way. It was not Lenore's at all. It was Diego Pavia and Luke Doty. So, from there, it kind of went downhill for South Carolina. I still think Shane Beamer should have been able to get them, get the camaraderie together, get the energy right, the fire, passion, and energy to get more than 7 points on the board and to not let Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia put 31 on your head top. But how do you guys see Vanderbilt shaping out? GP said I'm being nice by posing this question, but Los, do you feel like Vanderbilt has a legitimate chance to be in the conference championship race? And that just means top four team in the conference.
Yeah, I second Grant. You being nice as fuck. Hold on, because that's a good question.
That's no hate.
It's not necessarily a bad question, to be honest. But
right now, by my judgment, I don't know about what everyone else's standards, but for me, if you're top four position at the end of the year, you are in the position to potentially win the conference.
They are scrappy.
Yeah, I think
they're a scrappy team. I can't foresee them winning some of the bigger games down the line. I think they will give teams a scare. I think Diego Pavia is nice. I think Clark Lee has his team playing very committed. And it's weird. I had watched a clip of the Netflix documentary that came out, and I think Vanderbilt in one of those episodes is like very heavily featured him and Diego Pavia, or Clark Lee and Diego Pavia. He don't care. And Clark Lee has said, grown up a fan of Vanderbilt, like everybody steps on us, and he was just like, that's just not how I want Vanderbilt football to be remembered. And it's very,
he's really like, oh, we know y'all think we suck. That's why we coming to bust y'all mouth open. Like, he's very on that.
He's very apparent. It's very apparent that there's a physicality, I would say, and a different type of thing that Vanderbilt provides. That I personally would say I haven't seen since James Franklin was at Vanderbilt, and that was like at this point almost like over a decade ago. They're nice.
It wasn't. This is the best they've looked since we've been alive, bro. I don't even think it's comparable to that time period.
Let's talk. Because I think James Franklin was getting them like bowl eligible and like with like 8 or maybe 9 wins, and that was like considered beyond successful for them, and that's what got him the job at Penn State. But I look at what Clark Lee's doing now. I guess it's helpful that he's from there. He went there, big alum. Like I guess there's just a different
pride.
I was gonna say there's a different sense of pride of like him taking over his home team. You've beaten Alabama last year when they were the number 1 team in the country. That's unheard of course. We gave Tennessee a scare last year. They're scrappy to me. I think moving forward, it'll be very interesting to see how they operate like in future seasons, I would say. But like right now, just a very scrappy team. For
yeah. They could. I might sound crazy, but I think they're kind of in a position, depending on how the rest of the league being the SEC looks. I think Vanderbilt could be a team that loses 3 games and could be in the playoff. Only because I'm looking at what their schedule is. They play Alabama, they play LSU, they play Mizzou, they play Texas, they play Auburn and Tennessee.
You think there'll be how many off teams to be in the playoff?
Just let me finish. So, right, they got Alabama, LSU, Mizzou, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, whatever. That's just in that order. And then they got Tennessee. Assuming, I'm going based off assumption. Assuming all those teams just stay ranked. Not necessarily saying they top 10 or whatever. They lose 3 of those games. 3 of those. Let's just say you lose to Alabama, LSU, and Texas, but you beat a Tennessee, you beat a Mizzou, and you beat a Auburn. I think they got a chance. Like, And just from those games, you lose to Alabama, LSU, Texas. The only way they keep you from essentially having an opportunity in the conference championship is they have to not lose as many games as well. And I mean, you're talking about Alabama. We saw them lose 3 games. We talking about LSU. We've seen them fold. And then we got Texas.
Yep.
We see what they're looking like right now. So I'm just throwing out, big things that have little chances, low chances, but hey, it could happen. But I do think they could not easily, sorry, but I think we'd be a fool to think that they can't just skate out of that season with 2 losses. I mean, they as long as they make it down to the Alabama game undefeated, they take care of Georgia State and take care of, I don't even know who this is. This might be Utah State. Yeah, Utah State. They go into the Alabama game undefeated. They have a chance. You know what I'm saying? I think they can make something happen. Not saying they got to beat Alabama on the road. Not saying they can't do it. But I mean, you get LSU at home, you get Mizzou at home, you got Texas on the road, but you get Auburn at home. So I think they have a very balanced schedule with these ranked teams they have. You got 3 of the hard ones at home, and then you got 3 of the hard ones on the road. Alabama, Texas, Tennessee on the road, Auburn, Mizzou, and LSU. You got them at the crib. I wouldn't be surprised if they beat a LSU, Mizzou, and Auburn. I wouldn't be surprised they take all the home games.
I think they're a very good, underdog team.
Yeah,
but I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
I see them definitely taking at least for sure 4 losses.
Y'all think they take four losses? Okay, we'll see.
They're a fun team. I would need to see how they play Alabama again. And also, let's take into context, while I did not expect him to beat South Carolina, Lenore Sellers didn't finish the game.
He didn't finish the game.
So
That's
a big point.
But that takes the fun away from it, GP. If you just want to wait till how they see Alabama to tell me how you feel about them. No, I want you to make a mistake and say they're going to win it all.
Absolutely not. That's not. Again, no, don't get it twisted. I think watching Vanderbilt be decent also goes into it's a check mark for me as well.
From the SEC standpoint.
Yeah, like when I do this whole SEC versus everybody or whatever type thing, like other conferences don't have their traditional bottom of the barrel schools take on one of the top 2 or 3 programs in the conference and beat them when they're ranked number 1. That type of things don't happen. You don't go on the road and go beat another 11th ranked team. Now, granted, should South Carolina have been ranked 11th? I don't know. I'm not an AP poll voter. I think, to that point, I think South Carolina is pretty good, but I'm not going to take away from the fact that, Lenore Sellers is one of the more electric players in the country, and he was unable to finish the game.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing of it is we don't have a push around, we don't have a clear push around in the SEC right now. It used to always be Vanderbilt. We do not have one right now. Arkansas looked nice. They could have beat Ole Miss.
Arkansas does look nice.
Arkansas looks nice.
Kentucky battled Ole Miss the other like last week, I think.
Yeah, so we don't have no true.
I beg to differ, guys. Let me introduce you all to the Florida Gators. Push Around University.
Y'all are not a real push around, but we can go ahead and talk about y'all. We'll end this episode off with our biggest losers and winners of the weekend. I mean, obviously, Carlos Edwards was one of the biggest losers of this weekend, being a fan of the Florida Gators. Carlos, how are you feeling today?
I don't think I was the biggest loser of the weekend. I think South Carolina is the biggest loser of the weekend. You're ranked and you just lost 31-7. We lost to the number 3 team in the country by 10 points. That don't look that bad to me. You know what I'm saying?
And Florida has enough of a decent enough schedule, or they can get some get back.
They have multiple opportunities to redeem themselves.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we suck, and we have Billy Napier being the coach. And at first, the game started, and I was like, "Oh, I hate this," because right now Billy Napier is dialing that shit up, and he looks good. So everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, well, maybe we just had some butterflies we got to get off." Billy's not that bad. Then I continue watching the game, and it was just like, oh, okay, you only have this halfback screen package in your playbook. Like, why do we keep running this little drop off? Then he opened up the playbook a little bit more. DJ Lagway throw 5 interceptions. Oh, no wonder the playbook closed. Everybody just sucks. I give no credit but to anybody but the defense. That's it. Oh, okay, wait. J Ball is a dog. I'm not taking nothing away from him. Every time he touched
Hey,
that ball,
buddy.
he make happen what he could do.
If he's a smart man, he'll make a ETN move if he's a smart man.
Georgia boy, he probably won't transfer.
I never thought I'd see ETN.
I can't wait to see him make that move so I can call him.
Please clip that.
Hey man. All right, but on to one of the winners of the weekend. Personally, Tennessee did not beat Georgia. They didn't. But every weekend that Nico looks like trash, they are a winner in my book. They should take that as a moral win every single week. But
they made the right swap.
They made the right swap. You know, you did lose. You lost the game. You have now officially lost in 9 straight games to the Georgia Bulldogs. We own you. You know,
bro, I was born at the wrong time, bro. These kids getting checks. When I talk about a check, these kids are getting checks to go play quarterback and be 0-3. They had like 14 yards in the first half. Like, what are we talking about? That's absolutely horrible with that, man.
So, of course, every time that Nico looks trash, Tennessee, you are a winner. You should take that as a moral win, Josh Heupel. You stood ground. You went 10 toes. You stood on your business. Said, I'm not going to this guy's demands. I'm not falling for that. You can go head on. We'll just essentially do a trade for quarterback with UCLA. And that has landed another black man without a coaching job. Deshaun Foster got fired today. One of the losers of the weekend. You got to watch who you're hitching your wagon to, man. I'm not going to lie. I never saw anything in Nico to make me feel like he was worth just the fact of the rumors. We don't know what really happened. We'll never know unless they put out some documentary or something. But I do feel like it's only so much about a rumor that can't be true. Somebody can say you did something that you didn't do, but you were in the place that they said you did it. That their rumor, quote unquote, said you did something. Part of that rumor was true. You were there.
The boy name is Nico. I'ma leave you.
How
long did y'all think he was gonna stay?
He left you, and he told Deshaun Foster, "I ain't leaving, but you can." They got rid of Deshaun Foster, so unfortunately, prayers out for him. Hopefully, he finds a good job somewhere. Because at the end of the day, I don't even know how you. I don't know how you fire him, if I'm being honest, unless you're firing him from the simple fact that maybe he was in the AD's office banging on the table for Nico leaving.
Nah, unfortunately, Deshaun Foster got dealt a bad hand. In my opinion, I think initially Chip Kelly leaving UCLA. Chip Kelly kind of didn't care to recruit. Let's go back. If we're going back a couple seasons, left a head coaching job in the future Big Ten, moved to a Big Ten school in Ohio State, only to leave obviously Ohio State to go to the NFL. I think he clearly used that. He's like, I'm trying to get back to the league, and it's not going to work being a head coach at UCLA. So he dipped. Ended up winning a national championship with Ohio State. But Deshaun Foster was the running back coach. Was an alum. He's from the LA area. You know, all signs last year point to like, this makes sense, honestly. Like, you got somebody that cares about the program. You got somebody that's from the area who can go connect with these high school coaches. He's been recruiting. So you would think that it will work. But unfortunately, it just does not work. I have talked to some friends that happen to be UCLA fans as well. One of the big things is like apparently the athletic director is not very well liked by like fans, but UCLA also is good at a lot of things that athletically that are not necessarily football.
Yeah,
baseball team traditionally is good. Basketball has been solid a lot lately. Men and women's. I'm trying to think what else. Just
non-football things. They can take that. They can take that risk of not being that good. But it was a quote from their AD. He actually said, "I regret putting Deshaun in that situation where we were going into the Big Ten, and even though we were supported from a resource perspective, Getting a start so late really disadvantaged the beginning to his coaching career here. How you gonna say that as your apology and then y'all still go
Yeah,
fire
you
him?
fire him. Yeah, exactly.
It
That's
don't
why.
even matter. It don't
And
matter.
I get it. Like you just paid a team, I think like a couple mil, to come in. Was it UNLV?
Yes.
Yeah, you paid UNLV over $1 million to
Well,
come.
probably not UNLV, was it? It probably would have
All
been.
right, hold on. We can look this up because it's bad that they lost. Let's just say that they
I
should
mean,
not
yeah,
have.
it's bad. But why you look that up? Because we can get ready to close that part out. Because it is it's an unfortunate situation. I think he should have been able to keep his job. I think I the only way I think it can be justified of moving on from him is if Nico was his guy. He made that choice. Um, but maybe he also made that choice because he feel like regardless of anything, if I don't do good this year, y'all are gonna fire me regardless. I feel
They
like
lost New Mexico.
New
Excuse me.
Mexico, yeah, that's what it was. 'Cause I'm like UNLV is they're not power four, but you know what I'm saying, they're up there. They're not a nobody. But when you're talking about college football head coaches, I do think unless it's under extreme circumstances, I think they deserve at least 3 seasons, 2 full recruiting cycles.
Mm.
That's just my opinion. I feel like you can't really for sure see that somebody is not meant for the job until they get 2 full recruiting cycles. At least I mean, really, you want
You
two and a
gave him
half, I guess. But
you gave him a season and 3 games. That's
yeah,
messed
he
up.
went. His record as a head coach right now is 5-10.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
not that
not saying
bad. If
no.
I tell you, you was with UCLA.
I'm not saying like UCLA. Don't get it twisted. They were trash last year, and so far they've been trash this year, especially losing 3 games. But I think to your point, let the season play out and let's figure something out first. Um, Nico, I don't know if I would feel bad for
I
him
don't know if
leaving.
I can say that's not that bad. 5-10
What's
is
not that
pretty
Five and
bad?
ten is
good.
bad. No, don't get it twisted. I disagree with
Five
that.
and ten is bad, but
5-10 is bad. Yeah.
everything is about context. The
I
context
just
is
I just want to
you
give
are
him.
with UCLA and you've only had the first season were not your players. This
Yeah,
season is the first
yeah.
time he has his
Well,
players, but they're all freshmen. So
that's debatable. That's debatable a little bit. And the only reason I say debatable is because he has recruited some of them, he was the running backs coach. But to your point, he's not the head
yeah,
coach, so he doesn't. The
yeah,
philosophy,
these aren't your guys per
yeah,
se.
the philosophy is different.
The
Like I
philosophy is
think
totally different. I mean, nobody runs a Chip Kelly offense except Chip Kelly. So
not even about that. It was just like I remember when he got hired. One of the things he said he really wanted to give a major focus to LA schools again because that's something that I know that was a thing. Like USC, since like Pete Carroll's left and like UCLA now, since Pete Carroll's left USC and like UCLA now, they have not really been a major focus on those SoCal kids going to those two schools, um, which is a problem. They would always I've seen articles where coaches would say SEC teams, Ohio State, Michigan, and then like Oregon would come down and get these SoCal kids. And but the two schools that these kids grow up, I wouldn't say UCLA was a powerhouse necessarily, but they were good. Like, especially when they had like Maurice Jones-Drew, like they were nice. You had Reggie Bush, and it's crazy. Like we were in like what middle school or late elementary school when Reggie Bush and Pete Carroll going crazy. But these kids they don't know what that era is, unfortunately. So they had a
yeah,
team.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, he lost his job, and regardless of what happened before, we know these last 3 L's is all because of Nico. I'm gonna leave you. But moving on to our last couple of losers and winners for the last weekend to end this episode off. Of course, got to give a big shout out to Georgia Tech. I like what they're doing. I don't like Tech. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still a Georgia fan. I want y'all to be as unsuccessful as possible, unless you're playing Clemson. So shout out to y'all. But I do like having Georgia Tech be good again. It's really nice to see that. It's really new to see. I mean, we spent most of our lives watching them run a wing T offense. That was ridiculous. But our last loser of the weekend, how are y'all feeling about Arch Manning, dog? He got to step to the front. What is going on, bro?
I
He,
blame the media.
Arch is not what we thought he was.
I
somebody
blame the
I'm
said
media.
not even
Arch
gonna.
is Arch is who people wanted Shador to be.
Yes. I mean, honestly, but I blame the media on this more than anything because you took his last name and assumed he was going to be great. And somebody made mention of this too. They were like, "All right, if he was is what people projected him to be, all the games last year were Quinn Ewers and you know me, would not necessarily say I was a Quinn Ewers defender per se, but I always would tell you Quinn Ewers was like solid. But if he was that much better than Quinn Ewers, like everybody assumed, he would have snatched him out. Sark would have snatched him and put Arch in at some point.
Absolutely. I mean, we tried to tell Carlos that last year. Carlos wanted Arch to be in a lot more. I mean, it did get to the point at some times, and I don't even think it was so much about.
It was just special
Um,
package plays or if they hated
I'm not even talking about that. I don't even think it was so much about Ewers not being a good quarterback. I think he was consistently a good quarterback his entire career. I think it was just the fact that when he wasn't good, a lot of times it will be because we can see, bro, these injuries that you've had over the years are
Yeah.
really weighing you down. So I think a lot of times, from my perspective, I got to the point of wondering why isn't Arch getting in? Only because it's like it's clear Quinn is not 100%, but
Mhm.
clearly, and we see why and how a 85% Quinn Ewers is better than 100% Archman. Los,
But I don't know if Arch is 100% right now. I'm gonna be
That's true
honest.
too. That's true.
Regardless of even
why
if
do y'all
Arch is
think he's
100%
hurt,
or
bro?
not,
He have you
that
seen the
that
video
video
footage?
clip of him throwing that football
Yeah,
and he goes,
and his coach came in and said his coach and other coaches from the past said that's literally that's what he
I
does.
think
He's one of those
I
people
think
that makes.
"Yeah, we've
yeah,
never
but
seen that
like
before."
you never coaches always
We've
expect
also never zoomed in and had a reason to zoom in on his face when he's throwing.
The
it's
camera, but if he did that before, anytime he's ever thrown a football, the cameras would have they would have talked about this before.
Why
Or
do we
any other
think
time
that?
he's ever played, they would have zoomed in on his face and they would have been like, "Oh, maybe he might be a little hurt or something like that."
But when has he
He doesn't
played?
do. He is he threw a few balls last year. He
A
threw
few,
a
a
bunch of balls.
few.
He had
he played
bro.
he had
They there's plenty of footage where Arch Manning is throwing a football where they would have been like, "Oh, he makes this weird I'm hurt face when he throws the football." They would have done it the first two games if he would have,
I'm just going off of reliable, and I take the air quotes away. Reliable sources from people that are connected to him saying that's just what he does. They have no benefit. They have more benefit in saying nothing and allowing people to think he's hurt. Because then he might get some heat off. Not might. People will relax. Like, damn,
Mhm.
let the narrative run. He's hurt.
man,
He's
folks
hurt.
lie,
People
man.
would people will relax on
Same
him.
way, same way
I think
Kirk lied to y'all and said he was
I
all right.
think yeah, I think the bigger issue is also like lack of real options behind him because and it's like you want him to work too if that makes sense. Like let's be real. He
I mean, they
clearly has
have to. They put all their eggs in his basket.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he clearly is athletic of a quarterback. Like he can clearly run. Um, I feel like we've seen him throw a little bit, but like what I think if I'm a Texas fan, what scares me is that outside of the Ohio State game, you've now had ample opportunities these last 2 weeks to play cupcakes to like get it together before you roll
Mm-hmm.
into SEC play, and you're about to start rolling the SEC play where the competition is going to be
Stiffer.
significantly more aligned with what you saw in that Ohio State game, where even though y'all lost by 7, he had open opportunities that he missed. They could have won that game, honestly, but he missed a lot of those throws, and like that was like his third real start. You know, first game of the season. Matt Patricia gave you a lot of disguised looks and whatnot, disguised coverages. Cool. Like I ain't gonna hold that one against you. And y'all only lost by 7. It'd be different if I got blown out.
I ain't gonna lie though,
But now you gotta pick it up. You gotta
for them
pick
to
it up,
only be up okay, well it was like what 14-7 or
bro.
some low numbers.
UTEP with UTEP.
Well, okay, right before half they got a lucky little touchdown off, but other than that, it was like, oh, this is pretty embarrassing, guys.
I mean, it was embarrassing regardless of what happened. I mean, I think it can't. I would say Arch
The offensive show.
looks bad, but also the team does not look great. So All
Offensively,
around, they are a disappointment all around. And UTEP ain't no hoes either. But 27-10 ain't. I give you 37-10. I'll take a 37 to 41 to 10. But nah, man, they look bad. And at the end of the day, we'll really get to see what's going on with Arch coming in to SEC play. I think most of these guys get this next week off. Um, no, actually, well, essentially, yes. Texas will be playing Sam Houston, and then they will take it on down to Gainesville and
you
check
got
out Florida.
see that's the thing. Like you had 3 weeks to get it in gear offensively.
Yeah,
Before you, like I said, before you start getting into the thick of things, Florida will probably be desperate that game.
yeah. The good thing about that is they
That's
actually have
nice.
a bye week in between their games. So their bye week, Georgia's bye week, Alabama's bye week. That's this week. Uh, Texas bye week will be next week, and then they'll go on down to start SEC play, and his first game will be on the road in the SEC. I think Ohio State was loud, but I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the
Nah,
same
bruh.
pressure.
The only reason I can give him the Ohio State pass is that it was the first game of the year. Nobody knows what anybody can do, for real, and coming into a new season. Yes, you played and started 2 games previously, but it's a totally different thing. Like it's a totally different new year. Y'all only lost by 7, but there were throws that you clearly also missed as well that could have had
Yeah,
y'all win this game. That
he missed a
Julian
lot.
Saint that Julian Saint made, I would argue.
Julian Sand did what they asked him to do. Arch simply did not. It really just came down to that for that game. Now, every other game since then, Arch just has simply not been what we thought he was going to be or anything close to it. I mean, there's nothing else to say. He hasn't been what we thought he was going to be. He hasn't been what his stars said he was supposed to be, and him being the starting quarterback for the University of Texas, he has not been that either by any stretch of anyone's imagination. But we can wrap things up here. Of course, we'll holler at you guys later this week. We'll preview some of the games. We'll preview some of the games for week 4. We got some good ones coming up. Of course, Auburn, Oklahoma. We got Miami playing Florida. Of course, we'll always keep Carlos on our sick and shut-in list if they lose there. And then we got Michigan. They going to Nebraska without their head coach, right? I'm not tripping.
Yeah.
He's out this game.
He's out that game.
Michigan is on the road going to Nebraska. Of course, check out King of the Block. They'll definitely be talking about that game endlessly. Probably not agreeing on anything, but they're going to talk about it. They'll break that one down real nice for y'all. If y'all are fans of the Big Ten, fans of Michigan, make sure y'all tap in with those guys. And, of course, we'll talk Syracuse and Clemson. And if there's any other games we feel like we want to look at, we'll look at those. But that'll be it here for today. I'll let y'all
Billy
later.
Napier, DJ Lagway.
What about
We don't get it together this week. Expect me to come for y'all heads.
And that's it here for the Saturday Sanctuary. Again, if you are dog fans and you're rocking with the G, catch us in a few hours. We're going to holler at y'all through the Red Clay Report and talk about this win that we had over Tennessee. But that's it for the Saturday Sanctuary. It's K. Will, my guy GP, and Los. We'll holla.